Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening to the last episode. It feels really great to know that I did say some things that people could agree with, and we could definitely talk about all the things that were going on. It was a great introduction. I'm so glad that a lot of you were able to listen and kind of meet me where I was. With that being said, welcome to episode 2. I have company. I have my cat with me, so you might hear him because he tends to get a little rowdy. Um, this episode is about self care and forgiving yourself. Um, a lot went on with those last 2 years, of which I told you. And a lot of the time that I spent alone, I really did have to do so much interpersonal soul searching within myself. There was no way I could look outside myself and see these things because you're going to constantly ask people what they think about you, but that's also going to be from their point of view. You need to look into yourself and ask questions to yourself about yourself. Um, so that started with me first, which I call this self-care and forgiving yourself. It really should be forgiving yourself and then self-care. Because forgiving yourself comes first before you can even probably teach yourself how to care for yourself. Um, and in a lot of those situations, I was not to blame. So I definitely wanted to sit down with myself, which this just started one day with me probably bursting in tears. And because I felt so a little bit guilty and a little bit of blame for situations. And I realized I was just like, you know what, Michelle, I forgive you. I forgive you. You are forgiven. It is okay. You did those things. You are not those things. And you can move on from that. You can move on. You are allowed. This is your permission. Move. Move on. Get over it. Go forward. Those people will forgive whatever they need to forgive, and they never have to forgive you, which is a great lesson. People never have to forgive you, but you can always forgive yourself. Don't wait for somebody to be like, all right, well, it's all good. We can move on. You don't even need to move on together. You can just forgive you, and they might not feel like they've done anything wrong, so they don't have to even play into anything. So um, I learned that lesson a lot going through is that, until I could just say, I'm sorry to Michelle, and how Michelle could feel lightness from just saying, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm talking in third person. That's the thing. I just want to say, I really did sit with myself for a moment. It wasn't meditative, it wasn't anything. It was pure tears, probably in my kitchen, watching some Grey's Anatomy or something, because it literally makes me cry all the time. But I cried and I said, I forgive myself. I said it out loud. I meant it. And I have not looked back on those things since. Sometimes I have a little moment and I'm still just like, girl, you got it. It's okay. Everybody's moving on. You're moving on too. Um, and once I forgave myself, my heart lightened. It lightened. It was just like, good. We're glad you did that. Now we can go inside and you can start to treat yourself gentle again, because you're not a hard rock. You're not. You are gentle. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to be able to make yourself feel good, which takes me into a little bit of self-care. My self-care included, I had kind of fell into this mini depression, and I wasn't eating a lot. I was kind of going through this period of unintentional fasting. I was fasting. I may have eaten something that day, and I may have not eaten anything at all for an entire day, which is alarming. I lost a lot of weight. So I wasn't taking care of myself. So beginning of my self-care is anybody who knows me knows that I really did love to cook. Cooking was a thing. There was breakfast with Shell. You can hashtag that if you want to. Don't. I wasn't good at plating, but it was really good at tasting. Breakfast with Shell was a thing. Every now and then I could show you my dinners. It was I love to cook. There's recipe books galore, but I fell out of that because I was so sad that I wasn't nurturing my physical body like I should have, which is horrible. You have to. I still kind of fast now, but I eat food now. I so I started to cook again, just little bits. Like I didn't know how to cook for one person. So that's the thing. Like I had to relearn how to cook because I was used to cooking for my significant other. So now that I wasn't cooking for this person anymore, I was learning how to cook for me. So a lot of those meals were left over, some of them tossed, some of them frozen. Still working on that now. But I cooked for myself. And cooking for yourself is nurturing. I was getting those meal plan things. Which one was I using? HelloFresh. So HelloFresh gave me something to do, which was I was idle so much. So HelloFresh is like, here's cooking with directions. You can already cook all this stuff, but just, or maybe some people I was like, I don't really need this recipe to make this, but I used the recipe because it would take me some time to do it. So it wouldn't be like a quick task. I was used to throwing things together like for myself. So I really did start to cook. And cooking means like sitting and like nourishing yourself and feeding your body and making yourself feel good. To me, that was a form of self-care. I started to get back into the bath, and the best place for me like would be just taking really long baths. I would put Epsom salts in, Himalayan salts, different essential oils. I love lavender. I love lemongrass. Like all those things I would pop into my baths, and I would bring music. Like music is very therapeutic for me. I listen to a lot of things, but I'm back in mostly old school mode when I'm listening to my music and while I'm in the tub. That felt really good to me. I would also burn essential oils, which you can kind of look up essential oils that you like, that kind of resonate with your smells. I like vetiver, frankincense, myrrh. I like lavender. Anything very earthy or citrusy can burn in my house 24/7. I love those oils. I would sleep with those oils a lot, and they just kind of made me feel good. I'm looking at a list here of stuff that I was doing. Um, I oftentimes would like sit outside, and it doesn't mean that I went like and found a park or something like that. For me, being in a home space for me has always included having some type of outdoor space that I can go out into. So currently I have a balcony, and I spend so much time on that balcony. I love being out there. I set it up where it sits for me, and it can sit for someone else if someone else wants to come. But for the most part, it's a peace of mind for me to have some serenity. I live by a train track, and most people would probably think that is annoying. It feels so good to hear those trains like pass on those tracks. I love the sound of it. So for me, that was like a point of almost meditation for me to go out there and be able to sit and kind of reflect on what's going on, how the day is going to go, what the day is going to consist of, and how to transform my thoughts, which is another thing, like controlling the way you feel about something. Like I touched on that in the last episode, so I won't go back into it, but you control how you feel when you start the day and when you end the day. I have to go into this because for me, this is a form of self-care. I love my skin, like the skin that I'm in, the body that I'm in. I try to take care of it with exercise. So that's a part of my self-care. I've been falling off, but also I pay attention to when I feel like doing something, a particular exercise, a particular thing. For me, it started out with kickboxing, and I loved it because I felt like I needed to hit things. I went to, in Nashville, it's Hot Box, and it is such a wonderful gym. It's pretty much like a little family. They have the best classes, and it was very motivational just to go and be around happy people, even though I wasn't feeling 100% happy. This year, I switched it up to yoga. I go to Fahrenheit Yoga in Nashville, and it is a hot yoga studio. And I'll tell you what, if you go in there, as hot as it is, I will pay you to still be able to think about whatever problem you had before you walked in. There's just no way that you can concentrate on not passing out and thinking about whatever you're upset about. So that lets me know that like the mind is a complete wonder drug. Like you can make yourself think about things, or you can zone things out. And I'm pretty good at just kind of zoning things out. So I love that part of it. But going back on that, taking care of skin, for me meant exercising, but it also meant like my face and my body skin. I will cook up some masks. Like I have all these products, and I try not to go overboard with my products. I'm very simple, so a lot of the things that I use are natural products. I have lots of different soaps that are made completely by hand by local companies. I also like my toner is witch hazel. It has always been witch hazel my entire life. I love rose oil to rub onto my skin, grapeseed oil to rub into my skin. Um, I feel like it helps me look younger. And I mean, I'm only 36, but it helps me look younger. It helps me feel really good inside of my skin. It keeps my skin soft and supple because, be it we might not want it, but hormones are starting to change when you kind of get my age. So a lot of diet and things have switched up so I can kind of keep up with keeping my skin together. Um, Also, just with self care, I have incorporated recently meditating, and I love to meditate. But it's something I'm learning. So I'm starting here with like 2 minutes here. I did a 10-minute one where I was supposed to balance my chakras, which is should be fun. I'll take you into it. But so I did this meditation one day, and I was completely open to it. I prefer to meditate at night. In the morning, my mornings pretty much start off with my rituals, and that includes my animals and getting them fed and making sure all that stuff happens and cooking breakfast. So I'm a hop up out the bed, do those things, and then like on the latter part of the evening, I like to create time for me to have, and so that time was for me to meditate. And I sat down with this meditation, and it was amazing. And I had this moment that I kid you not, I probably only told two people. I felt when we got to um, the was that? Hold, let's see. So I had to look up my chakras because I didn't want to mess that up. But once I got into like my solar plexus, which is kind of right underneath the heart, it's kind of right above the belly button almost. Um, I felt like somebody kind of just a little bit of energy just kind of bubble around that area where it felt like someone was kind of touching me. And I could not, in my brain of brains, like stop thinking about that. So I like kept going. We kept going through the meditation, and we kind of glazed back over those feelings, and that really happened. Um, Also, a few days ago, I was trying to meditate, and I couldn't steady myself for some reason, just to sit with my legs crossed or whatever. And when I kind of got up out of that meditation, I noticed like between my sacral and my root chakra, which are the sacral will be kind of like right underneath your belly button, like right at, and then your root is going to be your sitting kind of bones and things like that. I really felt unbalanced in those areas, and a little bit later, I got like a really hard like abdomen pain, and I ignored it for a little while, and then it became very intense. And so I had to, go and get it checked out. And lo and behold, I needed to have some surgery, which is, I don't want to get into it, but I really feel like the universe was trying to tell me a little something about this part of my body because that is exactly where it needed to happen. Like something was off there. And since I've had that surgery, I know I sound like I'm in good spirits. I have been out for the count since Monday. It is Thursday at 7-Eleven, and I feel really good. I feel like this portion was supposed to be taken outside of my body because it was wreaking havoc inside of my body. And it took me every single moment up to then to figure this out. But that's definitely me. But I'm very in tune with my body. So I can tie that back in to self-care and forgiving yourself is that when you're retreated and you're alone, you start to figure out like how your own body works. And I realized that my body it's a whole working thing, and it works with my brain. And together we make this big to do. So I feel better after this surgery. It was supposed to happen. It was very, very, very random. Praise to the Most High that I'm still moving around because it could have been bad, but I caught it at its very beginning. If anybody, the doctors were stumped. They're just like, how did you even, like, it's barely even happening. Like, how did you know that? Well, I felt it. I felt it inside. I knew something was going on. I've known for a couple months, but I just kind of put things off, and I asked my spirits to tell me, like, if I need to go. And early that day, I was like, I'm going to go see my doctor tomorrow. But no, it wasn't tomorrow. It was that day. Like, had to happen that day. Um, Shout out to my friends for helping me through that. Everybody being understanding to the fact that I couldn't even answer your text messages. I was dead to the world. Um, yeah, so taking care of the skin I'm in led me to find out some things that were going on medically inside my body. I got some feedback from a client friend um, who told me to kind of go into detail a little bit more about what I was doing when I was journaling, and also like the books that I was reading. I didn't specifically clock into anything for reading that um, I felt like was very specific to pain or moving on, but I was reading books that actually referred back to self that I would like to share a little bit about. Okay, so I pressed a little pause because I needed to find the books, but I was reading Finely Tuned, How to Thrive as a Highly Sensitive Person or an Empath, which I talked about a little bit about being highly sensitive as well as being an empath, which is kind of hard to navigate in this world. But the book was by Barrie Davenport. It was really good because all my life I've tried to figure out why I could sense the energies of other people immediately, or just kind of be able to tell when you're around a certain type of energy of a person that you don't want to pick up. And the second one that I was reading, probably at the same time, because that's just who I am, I was reading You're Not Crazy, You're Codependent. And wow, I will take on that title. Not a lot, but I'll take it on because I really I was used to having someone to lean on all the time. Also, You're Not Crazy, You're Codependent is by Jeanette, Elisabeth, Menter. I bought both of these books on Kindle. And I mean, reading those two kind of helped me go down and understand like codependency, which I've tried not to carry into my new relationships. Like, I don't want to feel like I need somebody for my day to be great or just needing someone to do something for me. It makes you so needy. I mean, in therapy, a lot of the times I would talk to her and she would just look at me like with such pity because she's just like, I do not understand why you feel like you are not good, that you are not enough, that you can't do these things on your own. The therapy was a lot a part of my self-care too. I did couples therapy for a little while, and I realized that I was not supposed to be a part of that couple. So, like, just cut that process off. I went through therapists as well. I had a therapist that I saw first, and we just didn't match up. Like, she didn't understand, I think, exactly what I was going through, like how hard it was for me to get to her. Um, so she wasn't very lenient in that. And that's not her responsibility, but it's like I needed someone who was a little bit more hands-on with their care. And my new therapist, the second go around, she just got it. I think she understood that it was a feat to get me to her office because I was so sad. So leaving my place, I would plan all day. I'd be like, I'm going to wake up really early. I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go to therapy. And somehow I was still like a little bit late for therapy. I mean, and for me, like, of course, you miss out. You miss out on your session because she's only going to talk to you for the time that she has you allotted. It's not her fault you're late, but she can be understanding of it. And she was, like, she got it. So we eventually talked about, like, methods to actually get me to be there. So I started to go and sit in this restaurant and, like, take books with me. And it was right by her office. And that was how I made it to her office on time. Which sounds crazy. It became easier. It did. But it was really how I got to her office. And she was really good about sending me a message the day before that's like, hey, am I going to see you? And then she sends me a message day of like, what's up? How you feeling? You coming? And it's like, that is so key. It was so crucial. And like, she just had the same attitude as I did. And we had a lot of in common. It's like, she was very into self-care and taking care of yourself, very into being stern with me too, which is like, you need to stop doing this with work. You need to let someone else do this. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. Like, I hear you. This is hard. But therapy is something that one of my clients gave me some feedback about. I'm a Black woman, and therapy in our families is not really. My family was okay with it, I think, because they realized that sometimes, like, this is, I was not listening to them. It's nothing you can tell me. And you can, my sister, who I'm sure listens, my mother, who eventually listens, they know I'm a bit of a, not know it all, but I don't really want to hear what you have to say because I want to go through things by myself. And I will guarantee you, my mother and my sister were usually right. But I don't like advice when I'm going through super hard emotional things. Like, if it's super emotional, if I'm not asking you for advice or something to do, like, don't do it. Because in the beginning, everyone was like, don't get divorced, don't get divorced. And this is not just on family. This is for everybody. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm like, guys, I know this is not the right thing for me. It's just not. It's not this person. It's just not supposed to be this way. And when you're arguing with your family about your emotions, like, stuff doesn't come out right. There was a lot of hanging up at each other's faces. Me probably mostly hanging up in people's faces. Them being like, you didn't have to hang up in my face. And me just like not talking to you for like a month because I couldn't say what I actually felt to you. So I went to therapy for that reason. But in most families, like, therapy is just shunned because it's like you don't tell your family business. You don't go and not present your best self to the outside world. You are disappointing the family if you like let secrets out or if you say certain things that might have led you up to this, or even saying you're getting divorced. I would say like a lot of people just ignored it like it wasn't happening. And it's like, guys, he's not here because we're not together. Why are you telling other family members that, oh, he's just not here? No, he's just not coming back. So a lot of people just didn't, it was very quiet around why my ex was not at family gatherings and things like that. It's like, hush, hush, don't talk about it. When in reality, like, we should talk about it because a lot of people are just staying in unhealthy relationships just because they look good on the outside. Fuck that. No, that's noise. That's just stupid noise. I won't do it. I don't care how it made me look. And I think that went along with the dissolving of certain friendships because a lot of people didn't know what side to choose, or like they'd see you and you look like happy. And it's like, how could she be so happy and he's so sad? She must be this kind of person and da da da. And I'm like, I don't really care what you think about me. So good luck with that because I don't care. If you think that I'm ruthless because I'm moving on and I need to be happy and I'm not worried about the happiness of another person who has decided to, we have to participate in this. Like, I told people and he wasn't telling people. So people thought we were still together, which I think is bananas. I think it's bananas just to act like nothing was ever happening. That's not a good point for me. It's just, I can't do it. So yeah, like, therapy was a big part of that. I'd love to have feedback on other Black women or Black men or anyone for that matter whose family kind of wasn't all up for therapy, who's probably trying to give you advice, not necessarily about divorce, but even just about yourself, your mental health, how we're going to act like we don't have these mental health issues when we know that we do. We ignore them. We tell our children to ignore them. We tell everybody to ignore what they should not ignore. Like, if you need help, please ask someone for help. Please ask a friend who they talk to or who they see or if they can recommend, because you don't have to keep that stuff inside. It's best that you don't keep it inside, to be honest. I wanted to talk about other books that I was reading, which were very, very therapeutic to me. I was reading two poets. And wow, I think I cried a lot reading their books because it was a male and it was a woman. Um, one of the books was art. One of the authors was Artson, and I read Planting Gardens and Graves, volume 1 through 3, probably quicker than anything I've ever read in my life. They're short poetry, but they're very, very into like a moment of like death and kind of not actual death, but just heart deaths and like mental deaths and just kind of things like how to kind of pick yourself back up, but also like these are the things that you are feeling. Um, those were tough ones. I probably earmarked a million pages. I've blown them out so much to people who I kind of felt like needed to hear or to see some of those things. I also was reading Raina Biddy, and I Love My Love and A Psalm for Us are two wonderful reads. I'm going to leave those there because I want to kind of share excerpts from some of them and some of the other ones. But those were two poetry books, poetry authors who really kind of shaped a little bit of my emotions in a book. And I was in a relationship when I was reading those, and I feel like he kind of knew that these books were kind of building the shit up for me, like to dip out of this situation. Um, it should have happened sooner than it did, but it didn't. But I gathered so much strength from reading that, I mean, I don't even know how to explain. Um, but yeah, I would say with my journaling, I did use journal prompts. And I got this from a bookstore that used to be by the salon. Hi, 1111. By the salon that I, my, by a store that was by my salon. Excuse me, guys. And she had a lot of good books, and I really loved going in there and looking at them. It's called Her Bookstore, and it's located in East Nashville. It's not by my shop anymore, but I feel like it's over by anyway. It's in Nashville. Her Bookstore. Look it up. Um, I used a book that I got out of there by Maria Seal, and it was 52 Lists for Happiness. So that leads into like gratitude. So once you're alone too, like give gratitude to all the things that you are appreciative of, just down to the little bits of everything, because it's gonna blow your mind. But some of the prompts would be things like list the things from your past and present that feel like blockades in the way of happiness. Like that's a wonderful journal prompt. It gives you a journal prompt for every week of the year, and I just finished this, and not from whence I started. Let me tell you, it took me longer than a year. Sometimes I had blockages, and I just didn't feel like putting anything down. Another one was list the times when you felt like you made a difference in someone else's life. Or list the foods that taste great and make you feel good about yourself when you eat them. List everything that you think of as a treat for yourself. Um, List the ways you can fake it till you make it and being happy. Um, List the best opportunities that others have given you throughout your life. And one more. List the things in your life you are actually able to control. So a lot of the times when we get bent out of shape about things that we can't control, I always try to just tell people like, girl, we can't. I mean, even my friend picking me up from the hospital the other day, like the guy who's pushing my wheelchair was really antsy, like super antsy. And she and I, Jedi mind control. We're both like, nothing's going to happen quicker, sir. Like, but if you just want to hop her out on this wheelchair, you can just let her go. I got her. And he's like, no, can't. It's my job. But here's another option you can do. My friend did not get off the floor. She's sitting there. I can see when her truck is going to come out of the garage whenever it comes out. But we're both like, this is a situation we can control. When I tell you we maneuvered through there to go get my prescriptions, like we really did, because I had to pick him up at the hospital as well. So we had to go to another portion. And we're like illegally parking and like just totally doing crazy stuff. But we really did not get upset about how long it was going to take from this point to this point, because we can't control that. We don't control it. So we could have sat there and kicked rocks and been upset, but we were both laughing, making joke of it, making light of it, because it's a situation you can't control. So before you lash out and you get angry too, or even at yourself, just be like, Michelle, could you have controlled this outcome? Could something have happened differently that wouldn't have made this happen? Sometimes like the outside stimuli just win. Like you can't make anything go faster. Um, so those are some of the things that I was doing. I'd love to hear, some of the things that you guys have done. Which you can leave me a voice message inside of Anchor. You can leave me a message and ask me questions. Anything you want to know. I would love to have like a question and answer portion. I know we haven't got to know each other that much, but I'm sure a few of my friends and family have listened to this and kind of maybe wanted to know like how I've gotten to a certain point of like this heightened sensibility. And I'd love to answer them. Like I said, you can leave me a voice message in Anchor. Even if you just want to say hi, I would love to hear your voice. Um, let's talk about some of the things you've done for self-care or some of the things that you practice, even though we might not have the same situation. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are kind of going through some sort of a awakening or something where they have started to pay more attention to themselves and their feelings. Let's talk back and forth. Um, yeah, I wouldn't mind kind of leaving it right there. We're just saying like love yourself, take care of yourself, forgive yourself. Um, don't worry about what anybody has to say. Like you are the master of your own destiny. I also wanted to kind of end each episode with I pull tarot for myself probably every other day. And I want to pull a card whenever I'm taping these episodes because I feel like I'm living in my purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I've been sick. I wanted to tape this episode much earlier in the week, but it would not have came out this way because I didn't have the energy to give to it or been given this type of energy. It took me a few days of being like off my feet, which don't think that's a mistake. The universe is like, Michelle, sit down, like sit, sleep, sleep again, drink water, drink lots of water, wake up so then you can follow back into what you were doing. I picked the Page of Wands. Also, I am using a deck by Artman X. I want to say that's it. I hope it's it. If it's not, I'll come back and leave like a link to the cards. But he has beautiful cards with African people that he's using in the tarot. And when I tell you it is gorgeous, it is gorgeous. He's on Instagram, I think, Artman X. Get into it. Get you a deck because it's lovely. I picked the Page of Wands in reverse today for us. And the Page of Wands, I also use Biddy Tarot to look up the cards just to get a general understanding of them because I'm very new to this, so I'm not like spitting them out of my head. But I do feel like it's something I'm supposed to be doing because it came into my world. Reversed is newly formed ideas, redirecting energy, self-limiting beliefs, and a spiritual path. I feel like that's a lot of what I've kind of been going through. So the Page of Wands, like something new is emerging within you and you don't know how to turn it into action. You're trying to like let the idea grow, but sometimes like you have to like push forward on your idea just to kind of see what's going to happen. You might have tried new ventures or projects and they're just not coming into the way that you want them to. But you have to like kind of align them with your own personal growth goals. So don't think like you're discounting yourself, but for other people, it will just be like an eagerness to start something new. But there's been obstacles. Like this is me with podcasting. Like I've been worried so much about whether it was going to be received or like how other people would feel about it. But you can't because exactly what this says. It's like you may be allowing limiting beliefs and inner fears and anxieties to get in the way of you achieving your dreams. So when I pull these cards, like they directly affect me, but they can be for anyone. And then they say like a last thing, you're seeking out a new path of personal and spiritual discovery. It's likely to be an intense spiritual path. You're choosing to keep this journey private. you know that inspiration and understanding comes from within rather than looking to others for answers. So through this process, I've had a lot of people, try to, be like, go ahead, or not a lot of people, like my trusted people knew that I wanted to do a podcast. I told them I was working on it, which I was, but I had to realize that too much research or too much anything just means I'm not doing it. So now I'm doing it. Thank you for listening again. This episode was self-care and forgiving yourself. And don't forget, like, you can listen to me now I'm on Pocket Cast, excuse me. I'm on Pocket Cast now. I'm on Spotify. We're waiting on Apple. We'll see what they're looking into. And also you can listen on Anchor. And on Anchor, you can actually leave me a voice message. Say something kind. I feel like my listeners are on Spotify a little bit, and some of them are on Anchor. Tell your friends. Tell them to listen to Real Talk with Michelle. Like, it's not going to be a bad idea. I have so much fun stuff in store. I want to get like a little bit more of the prerequisites out of the way, and then we can kind of delve into, a little bit of dating and a little bit of like what's fun to do and what are we all doing. Like, yeah, I was just about to spit out another idea, but I'll leave it. Thanks for listening to Real Talk with Michelle, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode too. Thank you for everybody that's given me feedback. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks.